Today I'm in the 2015 through 2020 Ford Edge. As you can see here, I have wired CarPlay and wired Android Auto capability. This little tiny baby screen used to be in here. If you want to see how I installed this Sync 3 8-inch screen, you're going to want to stick around. I'm going to show you how to do it. Alright, so where we're going to start is actually at our center console. I'm going to lift up the center console armrest. And these side panels are the two first panels that we're going to actually pull off. So these are just held in with some clips. And it should pop free pretty easily. We're going to fully remove both sides of these. All right, with that out of the way, we can now pop our center console with cup holders up. This is also just held in with some clips. And when you get to this upper area here, this kind of pulls more towards you. There's clips on either side up here. All right, just like that. Now on either side, you do have a couple of wires. You're gonna have to disconnect both of these. Here's one. And same for the other side. With those out of the way, you can kind of just wiggle this out and we'll set this aside. All right, so next up, what I'm actually gonna do is, so I don't have to put the ignition on and shift it out of park, there's a shift lever lock underneath your shifter. So this is around the D and neutral position on your bezel here, your shifter bezel. If you go straight down, there's this white tab. You need something long and maybe flat to push in there, but you're gonna hit that and you're gonna push that forward until it stops. Once that's forward, you can just go ahead and shift your car out of park. Just like that. So now, unless I return the shifter back to park, I do have free motion here. Now, if you are gonna do the shifter release, just like I did, you're gonna wanna make sure that you're not on a hill or your driveway is not angled. If not, you're gonna wanna put your parking brake on before you attempt all of this, because that will prevent the vehicle from moving. And then you can move your shifter free out of the way, because it is gonna make it easier to get all these panels out with the shifter all the way back like this. All right, next up, we're gonna pull this lower storage compartment. This hub will also have to come out, and we'll pull that out later. But to remove this storage compartment, you have 4 7/32 screws. These are a little set in there. So I like to have a magnet just in case. And then when you're pulling this pocket out, you want that door closed because it'll kind of hang up on the upper panel here. But now with our pocket removed, we do have to disconnect our hub. This hub is connected with 2 clips on either side. So because I'm doing this by myself, it's kind of hard to push both clips at the same time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna just put a little bit of tension on there and free each clip. There we go. So basically what I was doing is putting reverse tension on there and separating those clips just so that that hub can just pop out of there. All right, and we're gonna set this onto our workbench when we get some new parts swapped in here later. All right, next we have 5 7mm screws that we have to pull out from this little panel that's surrounding our shifter. There's 2 deep up underneath your radio. We'll do those last. And then you have these 2 pretty high up here. And actually, while we're in here, these screws also need to be pulled. This is actually holding that radio bezel on. So we'll pull those out also. These are all the same size, so you don't have to worry about mixing these up. All right, now we can pop this free. There are a couple of retaining clips kind of reversed in there. You just pull straight back. We'll spin this around to give us some room. And since we already pulled those 2 screws earlier, this whole thing should be free to pop out of our dash. I'll grab our panel tool, and we're just gonna work our way around our bezel until we get this whole thing popped out. Actually, from the top, you can kind of angle it towards you. There we go. And we have our bezel free. Now you can see how the shifter being all the way to the rear actually gave us quite a bit of room to work here. we'll go ahead and get these plugs disconnected. And we are not reusing this bezel, but we will need to reuse the vents. So I'm gonna take this to the bench and we can get those swapped out onto our new bezel. All right, now we're ready to pull our 4-inch screen out. And this is very simple, 4 7mm screws on the top and the bottom. And we'll pull this, and this has a little baby lever connector on it. And we can basically chuck this. We're not going to use this anymore. All right, so we got our bezel pulled out here on our workbench. We have the new bezel that came in our kit. As you can see, we do have to swap these vents over. These are pretty easy to detach. They're actually only held in on the one side. And there's clips that run down this side here. So I'm basically just pushing out on those clips. There you go. This whole side kind of slips into that seam and snaps in. Pretty straightforward. Let me snap it in to our new one just so you can see the process of that. And we'll just do the same thing to the other side. There we go. All right, pretty easy. Get that other side detached and swapped over as well. Oops. If your vents start to pop off, you can just pop those back into place also. All of this stuff is just snapped together, but pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Now this is ready to go back in the vehicle. We do have a harness that does go with this bezel, so you can, just to save some time, plug that harness in outside. So when we get in there, it's just a plug and play kind of deal for this whole bezel. All right, we'll set this aside and bring our hub in that we need to swap this guy out right here. We do include a new hub. This thing is basically just snapped in. As you can see, snaps that go all the way around it. So because they're all the way around, it can be a little tough to push all of those snaps at the same time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep downward pressure on this, and I'm just gonna work my way right around, trying to depress all of those kind of at the same time. There we go. It's starting to go. I can feel it. There we go. So here is our old, and here is the new. They'll only fit in one way, but once it's in, it'll pop into place and we're good to go. It does come with its own harness as well. We'll get these ran down and install this at the end. But with our hub and our bezel assembled, we can jump back in the vehicle and continue with the installation. All right, so we're back in the vehicle on the passenger side. We have our glove box right here. Where we actually have to access for some wiring is right behind this panel up here. So what we need to do is drop our glove box. On the right side, we have the arm that we need to remove. As you can see, it's grooved in there, so it kind of sets in forward. You're gonna push up and pull out, and then you can slide your glove box down. And it doesn't have to go all the way down, but that should give you plenty of room. And the harness that we need is right here. So right here, you can see this is the connector that we need to unplug and install our extension harness and run that over to the driver's side or to the radio compartment. So it's a lever style, where I have to push down in the center and then push that little lever over just like that. It'll push itself out of there. This is all we have to do over on this side. Let's grab this and then we'll get our extension harness plugged in. And this will only go in one way. There we go. All right, we're all locked in. And the other end of this harness, I'm gonna run over towards the radio compartment. So I'll show you that now. All right, we're just gonna run basically our harness up towards the AC vent here. I'll pull that slack up out of here, and you can throw a zip tie down there just so this doesn't move around. But I'm gonna try to hook this down, oops, and under our AC vent, right into the radio compartment where we need it to be. And that's perfect. And then from here, I'm gonna grab our radio harness that's gonna adapt the Sync 3 module. And from here, we have this RCA connection here. This is actually gonna plug into the original 4-inch screen connector that was back here. It's gonna give us our rear camera feed. This much longer gray connector is gonna run down towards our hub. So now we're gonna need to take this gray power connection, this is for our hub, as well as the other included hub wire. We're gonna take both of these. I'm actually gonna tape this up real quick just so it makes it easier to run. All right, now I'm gonna bring that back through our radio cavity up underneath the AC vent and down back towards the glove box. I'm actually gonna pull this through just like how I pulled that other cable up. I'm just gonna pull these down. And you wanna leave yourself a little bit of slack up here so you can plug in to your new Sync 3 APIM. And the end of this, we actually have to run all the way down because we're in an edge. Right below the ACM is a pocket. So you can't go straight down very easily. I find this is like the path of least resistance, so to speak. So I'm just gonna go all the way down, keeping towards the center console, but I'm gonna pop this out. You're not gonna see what I'm doing, but I'm gonna pop this out below our glove box. Put this up here. There, you can see it down here. I'm gonna pull all that slack out. And I'm gonna wrap this around the side of our dash. And I'm actually gonna feed it up through the bottom of the floor, coming up right into this area right here. And there is a pop right here that you can pull back, and that should give you adequate room to run that up into that compartment up there. And once you get this pulled up, you're gonna snap your side panel back in, and that is plenty of slack right there for our new hub. For those of you that are interested in saving your presets and having mix modes as an option, you will have to change out your ACM. I'm going to show you how to do that now. It's basically, since we already removed the 2 top 7mm because it was holding our screen on, there's only 2 more 7mm right below the unit that we have to pull. So we'll get that pulled out. And once that's pulled out, slide this straight back. We'll get all these connections removed. With our new ACM in hand, you can see we do not have brackets installed. So I'm gonna get these brackets swapped over, and then we can install our harness and plug in our new ACM. All right, so with your ACM in the same orientation, pretty simple. All you gotta do is pull your 4 Phillips screws out and get that bracket swapped over. All right, we'll do the same thing on the other side. All right, we got our bracket swapped over. Now we are ready for the conversion harness. We'll get this plugged into the one side. Everything else will plug in just like it did from the factory. We do have to add this line here going up to the radio harness. Up at our radio harness, you can see we have a line here listed ACM-A. This is gonna have to come down and get tapped into our ACM, and now everything else is just getting reinstalled. And all we have to do is simply remount this and we are good to go. It is a little tight back there, so you're going to want to move any harnesses that may be impeding your way. Just kind of smush that to the side just to give yourself some room. All right, once you get it lined up, we'll throw those 2 bottom screws in. You only have to worry about putting the 2 bottom screws in because the top screws go in when you put the screen back in. All right, and we're good to go to move forward with the rest of the install. All right, with our hub line all ran, we are ready to install our 8-inch Sync 3 unit. We can get our harness and line up the pins. You're gonna wanna make sure that lever is in the open position or downward position. And as you sync it up in there, it'll self-lock. And put our hub connector in here. All right, and this will mount up just like factory. There we go. We reinstall the 4 7mm screws. All right, now we're ready for our new 8-inch bezel. And because you do have extra wire down here, you're gonna have to tuck this in there a little bit just so everything fits just right. And also you do wanna make sure that you do pull this screen protector before you snap your bezel in, just because once the screen protector is covered by the edge, it can be kind of a pain in the butt to get that out of there. All right, we're all snapped in. Now we can basically throw the 2 screws back in on the bottom and start to reinstall everything that we removed earlier. So let's get into that now. All right, now that we got our hub wires pulled up into the location that our pocket with the hub is, what I'm going to do is this factory hub connector we're not going to use anymore, so I'm just going to go ahead and zip tie that to the new hub wires that I ran in here. Doesn't need much. This will just keep it organized and tidy so it doesn't interfere with any moving parts down here. So now when we go to reinstall that hub, we'll have just 2 lines that we need exposed up here. I'm going to start with these 2 in the center. That's for the radio bezel. Then we can go ahead and spin this back around and you can see those 2 clips up here. When you're putting this back in, you're going to want to line those 2 clips up. There's the 2 clips. Now, this thing doesn't go any more forward. To get those clips to seat, that's actually a part of the pocket that's in front of it. So you just pull towards you on that plastic pocket, that little cubby that's in front here, and that'll clip itself back into here. Now we can go ahead and put the 5 screws back in. All right, now we're ready for our hub and cubby. We'll get this plugged back in. All right, we're all plugged in. And then this is the part that I like to use, a little magnet, especially for these top ones, at least just to set it in there. There we go. You can see they're kind of in there. They're just enough covered to make it a little difficult for you to do it with your fingers. Now we're ready for our shifter shroud. Make sure to plug both sides in. And this is the side that the car really doesn't like it to disconnect. There we go. Then when you're lining this up, I always like to get it kind of where it needs to go and then push these front ones in. All right, now all that's left are the 2 panels on the sides of our center console. Throw that back in park. All right, that wraps up this install. Let's go ahead and clean up our tools. Then I'll turn on the vehicle and give us a demo of what it looks like. All right, let's go ahead and turn on the ignition. You don't have to start it, and we can run our Genie programmer. We're gonna wait for a green light. All right, we got the green light. We are all programmed. Now we can go ahead and test out our radio. All right, we got it all wrapped up. Let's go ahead and turn it on and see what it looks like. Already right off the bat, you can see how much better and bigger this screen size is from the original that was in here. All right, looks like we're booted up. Let's go ahead and plug in our phone. I'll plug in my Android phone first. And right away you can see we have Android Auto in all its glory in this large interface here. So all your favorite apps right at your fingertips. Favorite streaming music apps. And we're gonna jump back to the Sync 3. You can easily do that. This unit does not have navigation. We do offer a navigation version. So if you are interested in embedded navigation without using your Android Auto or iPhone, we do have that available. Let's go ahead and try out the iPhone and see what that looks like. All right, now we'll try out the iPhone. Get Apple CarPlay going. All right, you can see we have all of the Apple CarPlay that we know and love right at our fingertips here. And just as easy as the Android, you can jump back to your sync interface. And once again, if you hit that map button, it'll take you directly to Apple CarPlay. All right, so that pretty much wraps it up. If you are interested in getting a wired version of Apple CarPlay or Android Auto for your Ford Edge, this is a great entry-level upgrade, all plug-and-play, pre-programmed for your vehicle. It really wasn't bad of an install. Give yourself maybe an hour, hour and a half total, and you can get this done pretty easy on a weekend. If you like this video and you want to see more just like it, be sure to head back to infotainment.com for more. Also, check out our Infotainment YouTube channel for more content just like this. Thanks for watching, guys.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed that upgrade just as much as we enjoyed developing it. We were here established in 2008, and we've been helping over 100,000 customers do upgrades to their vehicle. So we carry this upgrade and so much more on our website, Infotainment.com. We service what we sell. We have a whole staff that services parts all day long. We also have in-house advisors that can advise you and help you from start to finish. We also have a compatibility guarantee. As I mentioned in the video, we will get your 17-digit VIN number to ensure that everything is programmed to the modules for a seamless installation in your exact vehicle. We also have extended warranties for those of you who would like to take advantage of that. Those of you who pulled out your old gear and you don't want it just to sit in your garage forever, we actually offer trade-in value to your old gear. So be sure to go to our website for more information on that. Last but not least, if you have a request for your vehicle, you want a factory OEM upgrade for your vehicle and you don't see it on our website, we have a product request form that our research and development department looks at every single day. So request that product and we'll get back with you with a possible solution. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and have a great day.